Wars. Tomorrow's news today.
It is Saturday, November 7th. The year is 2020. And if we accept the false claims of Joe Biden and his communist Chinese deep state handlers that he is the president with the fraud we've just witnessed, then you could really see this as a good date to put on the Republic's tombstone. Born July 4th, 1776, died November 7th, 2020. That's what this is. And we can talk all day about the failures of Trump and why this was able to happen. We can talk about what Trump should have done better. And we're going to do that so we don't make the mistakes next time. But you notice InfoWars has been basically 99% accurate, unlike anyone else, just frighteningly prescient on what was going to unfold because we're watching every move they make. We know who the players are. And we see the preconditioning in the controlled media to get people ready for what's now happening. But this is why this is really important. I'm going to get into what's coming next. That is the most important thing to get to so that folks can now listen to the broadcast and then actually go check it out for themselves and then make preparation to stop what's coming next. Because a lot of people thought, and I explained to everybody it wasn't the case, that if Joe Biden won, the lockdowns and the shutdown of small businesses and the mask wearing and the forced inoculation would stop. Well, now you notice that Michigan and Washington State and Oregon and New York are announcing martial law. They're going to have their own state guards out arresting people that aren't wearing masks and getting ready for forced inoculation. So Biden has said he intends to have permanent lockdowns. China's been open for 6 months. We're never going to open again, ever. This is Venezuela. It's over. And their constituents are so stupid that in a year when we're in the greatest depression the world's ever seen, that much of the third world's already in, and it's already started here, they won't even remember that the globalists did all this. I mean, I was in an armored vehicle today. I'm going to walk through every facet of this downtown, and they were throwing water bottles at us and stuff. There was a crowd of probably 3,000 Trump supporters out there. There was a crowd of about 100 Biden supporters down the street at a park by the courthouse, and they were yelling "F you, racist" to me. And I would say to them, you know, China has people in death camps, and Apple and other companies accept parts made by slaves. And I said, you know, Joe Biden is the one that passed the KKK style laws, but blacks in jail. Folks, these white people didn't care, mainly white, some Hispanic. They were just flipping me off saying "F you, Nazi." It's a fact that Joe Biden represents the big mega corporations. It's a fact that Mitt Romney and the Bushes and the globalists love him. It's a fact they helped found modern ISIS. It's a fact they're saying they're going to launch all these big wars. It's a fact he and his son took tens of millions from the communist Chinese to sell out U.S. interest, and the recordings and the laptop and the audio is all there. But I'm going to talk first, before I get into all this, and give you the latest, and we've got it all right here, commercial-free, live, on Saturday, November 7th, for the next 2 hours. We've already been live for almost an hour. Then we're going to loop this until I go live tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central with the regular Sunday show. But I was in Nevada the last 2 days. Now I've been back here this afternoon, went straight downtown where thousands of patriots were, where Owen Schroyer and others were already taking action. Ollie Alexander, Savannah Hernandez, back down there doing a great job. Great to see her. It's all unfolding right now. But let me talk about the main reason this is happening. This is an important psychological system the globalists use. When they conducted the first illegal spying on the president and all of their criminal activity and lied to Congress and lied to the people and lied to the media and didn't get in trouble, that emboldened them to then try the impeachment and the Ukraine fraud and the obstruction of Trump's agenda and all the rest of it. And all the city mayors and all these different employees, they saw that corruption normalized to a level never before. And so that's why they were all more than happy to engage in systemic election fraud in all these key battleground states with the same election company owned by the Carlyle Group and George Soros that's been decertified in North Carolina and Texas and many other areas, because you can hack it in 10 seconds, literally, because it's fraudulent, because you can pre-program it to flip votes and to shave votes with fraction magic, that group is in every race in Arizona, in Georgia, in Pennsylvania, Michigan. Every place Trump lost, it was in play. And I'm going to go over this. I was reminded by someone very close to the president about this yesterday morning. And I went and dug into the history of it because I remembered, I remember reading about Soros and these companies. And sure as hell, I'm going to show you Washington Post. I'm going to show you Business Journal articles from 30 years ago and 20 years ago and 10 years ago admitting it, where we're talking $100 million a year, Soros kicking in. But the media goes, oh, there's no evidence of that, when anybody in seconds could find it. This is simply incredible. And I'm going to show you who's on the board. But guess who in Michigan first lied to the public and said everything's safe? There's no anomalies a few days ago to declare Michigan for Biden. One of the top folks from the Southern Poverty Law Center. And she's now over the state and over the elections. So I'm just going to give you a snapshot of this, but when they say there's no evidence, Project Veritas has all these postal workers that witness them being ordered to backdate ballots after the election. That's illegal. My brother-in-law saw it the day after the election at the USPS on Congress Street, Austin Rivera, and he was shaken by it. But it's election law. You can't videotape at a polling place, and if somebody's turning ballots in there, you can't. And the workers were taking the 50 ballots. They loved it. And so now we've got all these postal workers. There's a bunch of them that have gone public. They're all being retaliated against. You see, they get retaliated against. I get lawsuits and grand jury investigations. I get subpoenas. I get harassed. I get lied about. These poor guys do. But when you actually commit crimes, like Joe Biden or Hunter Biden, oh, then you're exalted and promoted because you're the good guys. So there are criminal investigations now by the USPS Inspector General. There are state investigations by the Republican Party that controls the legislature in Michigan into this. There are all these witnesses that the Supreme Court put out an order today to freeze the Pennsylvania ballots that have postmarks that came in after the election that shouldn't have been counted. That's the federal law. That's state law. But if you turn on CNN or ABC News or the Associated Press, they're going, listen, Trump's just a liar. There's no evidence. There's no nothing there, when there is incredible evidence. You know, we've got footage of the county clerk there in Maricopa County on video, head of elections, saying, yes, we did used to tell you don't have Sharpies, because they had the piece of paper saying don't use Sharpies because it bleeds through and doesn't read in the Scantron. But she goes, but it doesn't really matter. It's still okay. Well, you add that with all those credible witnesses, black, white, Hispanic, male, female, old, young, dozens of them. I talked to a whole bunch myself that they would say, oh, no, you can't use a regular pen. You must use a Sharpie. And then, yeah, all the footage of what Veritas exposed months ago, Ilhan Omar going around ordering Muslims that are immigrants that she can get deported to fill out their ballots for her, and all the footage of men, masked men because of COVID, get to cover their faces, at the ballot boxes, at the post boxes, which are the ballot boxes, stuffing them in. There it is. Breaking Arizona election official confirms Sharpies discredit ballots. But I don't want to lose the forest for the trees. But if I could go to Arizona, only 2 hours away by jet flight, and I could discover all this, and I could get articles up. The mainstream media was there by the hundreds at that one facility. They didn't show one scintilla of it, not one piece of fact. But the woman's there on tape admitting that. So let's not miss the forest for the trees, though. I want to just announce this, and I'll be very, very clear about this. I don't operate from a Machiavellian manipulative stance of Hegelian dialectics, but I do understand it. And most of the future outcomes of what Biden and Kamala Harris and their Chi-Com globalist backers have done is going to generate supermassive, sustained, iron-jawed resistance to them. But understand this, Biden doesn't run anything. He's just a placeholder. Neither does Kamala. The nasty neocons and globalists behind him are very shrewd and totally ruthless. And they're going to stage false flags in this country and really try to have a bigger race war in the nation, saying whites are inherently bad, to divide off, quote, minorities. They're now the majority, so they will reject the American dream. And it's going to work on some of them, and they're really pushing hard, but it's not worked on them as good as I thought it would. They've been more resistant to white people that have this guilt and that want to genuflect and virtue signal and say that the red, white, and blue and capitalism and guns are racist. But we really have to reach out to everybody and explain this is a foreign corporate psychological warfare operation and really put it into context of where we are. This is the death of America. Now, a country is not like a person. It can be resurrected like the phoenix, the mythical phoenix. But it's going to be really a tough road to go down because this whole COVID lockdown is admittedly about destroying small infrastructure, towns, and small businesses and getting people into debt so that you can be fully controlled and then politically be sent to what they call retraining centers or community college that is really a socialist communist indoctrination center where you are then told you politically have to violently take over and that then you're going to get a chicken in every pot and you're going to get all this money. It's going to be great. This is a formula they've used in over 100 countries in the last 90 years, 100 years. And it's an exact formula. It's a program. And people like the same all over the world. And it's like going to the store and you get pancake mix that all you do is add water. And you get the same pancakes every time. Or you get the type of pancake mix where, you've got to get the eggs and the milk or whatever. It doesn't have that already baked into it. This is an exact path we're on. And that's how we're able to predict this. That's how we're able to walk through all of this. Millions are starving to death in the third world. Their countries are collapsing under the COVID lockdown. They're still locked down there. Then those hundreds of millions will flood us and be organized as weapons against the population. And when you see your way of life being destroyed because of the ongoing systems, and you say you don't open borders, the UN will then announce that you too are racist and bad. And they've got their reconciliation commissions they're setting up that they used in communist China and South Africa. They're talking about they're making a list of Trump supporters. They're going to persecute you. They're going to get you. This is by the millions. And you see the mass censorship now, as we predicted, almost total censorship. No media that I saw carrying Giuliani's press conference. Thank God there's Right Side Broadcasting. Thank God there's InfoWars picking it back up. Thank God you're out there amplifying it. But this is a serious war. And they cut off our communications first. And I want to be clear. The Chinese people are hardworking, really smart folks. But for thousands of years, they've been under imperial rule. And so they've been socially conditioned to be submissive and follow orders. Just like the British used to be extremely violent, and the Romans couldn't conquer them, and they were the most unconquerable, toughest group, the Romans thought. They'd fought everybody. And now they're the most domesticated people around. That's imperial conditioning. So the Chinese have been conditioned for 5,000 years to submit to peer pressure and directives. Incredibly brave in wars, fights. I mean, just described like robots when it comes to war. But when it comes to following orders of their government and peer pressure, very robot-like. This is dog training. And all the stuff you now see being done to us is the same dog training the Chinese have gone through.